Hello, as you can see we've got the trailer finished, everything's done and it's ready for its reveal, so to speak, and quite a lot of work. I didn't realise there was going to be so much work to finish that off. You might remember from last time that we got all the tubes onto the bogies, and what I've done now obviously is all those bogies have gone onto the underside of the trailer, the chassis of the trailer. There's really quite a lot of work that goes into that, and you've got to be quite methodical in the way you do it. I'll go through it as best I can now. It's quite a large piece of kit, as you can see, so it's difficult to turn it up and over without damaging anything, without hitting anything else. As you can see, all the tube work is already in there. Might be easier if you look at it from this side. All the tube work for the air and the hydraulics has gone in there. The tube work from the swan neck has come round again for the hydraulics and the air on both sides. Some of it hangs down. The stuff that they provided with the kit is bits of string basically, and it just didn't look right, as I've mentioned before. Smaller tubes there for the pipe work, and larger tubes for the main tubes. From memory, 0.5mm and 1mm tubes, all run out from the hubs, the bogies that I assembled. Couple of metal bits. There's a lot of photographs in this video that'll show the various stages of what I've done that you may want to have a look at. The hardest part of this is all the tube work, and as I've mentioned before, videos that I watched before I started doing this, a lot of people just haven't put the tube work in. To me, that's you're defeating the object. You know, you've bought this and paid a lot of money for it to make it a pleasure and make it look right. The sad bit is that most of the work is hidden underneath the trailer. There's some problems with putting the bogies on. I don't really want to stand this upside down. That's alright. One of the problems is when you glue them on, you suddenly realise that all the care you've taken of getting the wheels nice and straight, as you can see, there's some of them end up cockeyed anyway. There's nothing I can do about it. You'll see from the photographs that I did my very, very best to get them all straight. They don't steer, and I've glued them in place purposely because it became a bit fragile if you make them steer, and you can do, but hey ho. The wheels do turn, they revolve, so you could brum it along if you wanted to. The suspension does work, and when you put another vehicle on the back of it, it looks quite impressive. It settles down nicely, so all of that works, and again you have to take a little bit of time to get it to work. Just go back to the instructions again and show you where we're up to. So that was section 11, all the tube work and fitting the axles onto the underside of the chassis. It was then building the wheels and fitting them onto the axles, which, as you may remember from the last video, I'd already done and painted them. Then the suspension rods, the tie rods from the central column that runs down the middle. As you may remember, that all of that in the central area there did steer properly, but these are very fragile, and I think that if I'd set it up so that it did steer, that's on section 13, then it would have broken them if you tried to steer them. Putting a swan neck on was easy enough. It fits in really quite well. And on to section 15, which is all the tube work coming from the swan neck onto the bed of the trailer. Again, there's a lot of the videos, a lot of photographs in the video where I've had to drill various holes to put these into so that they've got a locating place. A lot of it in the instructions basically says just glue it onto the side, and it doesn't look right. In my eyes it doesn't look right anyway. So what I've done is drilled holes in the appropriate places and fed the tubes into them, then glued them into place, and they look, I think, a lot better. As you can see, can you see there? Yeah, those four there are bent over. There's a little piece of 0.5mm wire inside the tube. It's a 0.7mm tube, 0.75mm tube, silicon tube, with a 0.5mm copper wire inside it, which is bent over, and I've drilled 4 holes into the swan neck where the guides are, that you would glue the cotton to, if you like, and then push the wire in and glued it into place with a bit of super glue all the way along there, both sides. On the rams here, on the hydraulic rams, there's already a locator lug, so you can push the tubing on there if you choose to use the tubing, and that fits on quite well. It then runs into these pressure relief tanks here and off to wherever along the chassis. Quite complex really, it's really quite a complex system for what it is, but that's another story. So that's those. That's sections 14 and 15, which is both sides of the swan neck onto the trailer bed. Then some bits and bats that were glued on, a couple of toolboxes, landing legs, very straightforward really. A couple of bits of photo etch for the light brackets on there to stick on here. Again, fairly easy, nothing dramatic there at all. Then again onto, let's move this out of the way so I don't damage it. Then onto the rear end of the trailer bed. Again, the stabilising legs to put on the back, you'd lower those down when you drove a vehicle onto it so that it didn't tip the front of the trailer up into the air or rip the pin off the fifth wheel. Mud guards, torsion bars for the ramps. Again, lighting bars, the tension bars so that the ramp doesn't hit you on the head. Surprisingly, with all the hydraulics on this trailer, it's very surprising to me anyway that they didn't make the ramps hydraulic and made them a manual lift and drop. Bit odd, but there you go. Maybe it saves money. The ramps themselves are quite easy to assemble, and although it seems a bit difficult with the putting the springs in, it's not really. You just got to think about the way that you assemble them. The lighting, again, all fairly simple stuff. This piece here, this piece of photo etch, was it's quite difficult to bend. I think if you haven't got a photo etch bender, then you might struggle with that. But if you take your time, if you use a photo etch bender, it's all one piece of brass and it bends in several places, and then you stick this piece here onto the inside of it. Once you've got the hang of the photo etch, it's not that bad, to be fair. Then onto, blimey, we're nearly end here, onto the bed of the trailer. I've changed this here from the chains that they supplied, and I've put, I hope you can see this, I've manufactured 2 tensioning handles, a piece of the sprue cut out, drill a hole in it and put a piece of steel wire in it on both sides so that you would be able to tension the chains, and manufactured what I used to call dogs when I worked in Australia, which is a chain tightener, chain tensioner, so that they would tension the chains and hold them in place. So that's that little bit. The springs on the back of the ramps, as I say, they're not too difficult to put on, and they look quite good. I've not painted them, I've just left them as they are. I should really put a bit of rust on them, but hey ho. As I've mentioned in the past, these little loops that are manufactured, you can see a little bit more detail on the handles there. Yeah, it's just that little bit of extra, isn't it? And it takes no time at all. Again, fairly simple stuff. All the plates that go in, I wouldn't, if you're doing this kit and you're going to put those in, you need to bend them, then try and fit them, then bend them again. Otherwise they're not going to go in, and you need to put them in underneath and then flop them down. Then pick them up a little tiny bit with the end of your knife, put some glue under them and put them back down again. If you glue them before you try and put them in, you'll end up with glue everywhere. I know this because I tried it. That's about it for step 19. Step 20 is all the little locators, which in real life would all be movable. You'd be able to move them all around. What I did, I knew that I was going to put a Challenger 2 tank on it, so I've glued them into place and left them with as much width on the side of the trailer as I can do, and that way I can get the tank on without it sitting cockeyed on one of the pegs, and just glued all the spare ones back into the centre there, into the locators. That's about where it ends, really. It's there's an awful lot of work. It's taken 6 months to build the whole thing, and what's going to happen next, my next challenge, if you like, is I'm going to put a Challenger 2, a British main battle tank on it, a Challenger 2 TES, which, because I'm a long way behind with the videos, I've already built. So that will be the next project, and I've done a video as I have with the M1070, a video all the way through the process, which I'll put up and bore you to tears with, I'm sure. But I really enjoyed building both of those. So that's for another day. We'll put him over there. This has gone really well. I'm very impressed with it, and I'll just get the unit. I can't put the whole thing coupled up on here because it wouldn't fit on the on the screen. It's a huge piece of kit. You're nearly half a metre long. In fact, I think you're more than half a metre long when it's all put together. You're 18 inches and 10 inches, 28 inches. You're the best part of a metre long when it's finished. So you're going to need some space to be able to display it. It's really, in my view, quite realistic. It's very highly detailed. It was a pleasure to build it, and it kept me out of mischief for nearly 6 months. I will put some videos of it when it's all assembled. I'll take it out in when I've got some more space, and take it outside and do a proper reveal with it. If you have any questions, any comments, of course, please feel free to leave them. And of course, if you'd like and subscribe, I would be very grateful. Thanks for your time. Bye.